Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is How to Get Away with Murder, Season 4, Episode 11. And the name of this episode is He's a Bad Father. Man, this episode was really good, and we're starting to see, how crazy Laurel's family is and where Laurel comes from, because Laurel got a whole bunch of shit going on, and this episode told it all. So let me begin. So we see, so it kind of picked up from the last episode where Dominic's phone is ringing off the hook, and Laurel decides to answer it because, but both Frank as well as Annalise said, don't answer the phone, it could be your father. She's like, it's not, it's my mom. And she speaks to her mother, and we actually see that her and her mother are speaking French to each other. So they're having this whole conversation, and it's in French. And she kind of tells Annalise and Frank that, look, my mom can help us. She says that her and Dominic were really close, and the reason why she's been calling is because she knew that Dominic knew that I was pregnant, and he also knew that my father knew about it. So him coming here, so pretty much she came here to, warn me, but she kind of figured that something, the reason why she kept calling was because she had a fear that something was going to happen to him. And then she pretty much says that, her, due to the fact that, her father, because we actually found out in the last episode too that her mother suffers from bipolar, and due to her illness, the father pretty much had her institutionalized. So pretty much she's saying that, I can get my mother to help testify on my case because she does have a hearing as to whether she's going to get back custody of her son. And pretty much, she said that, look, my mother can help me. She can testify on my behalf, and that he's a bad father and all that. I mean, it got to the point that Annalise just kind of went in on her. She's like, you need to stop acting crazy as hell and grow the hell up, because at the end of the day, this does not make any sense, and at the end of the day, you're doing too much. It's like you're the reason why we're in this mess to begin with. I'm trying to get you out of it. I can't even focus on my class action suit because I'm here trying to save your ass and save your baby. So look, you need to play this, and you need to play this smart. But then she's like, but I really do think my mom can help us out. So then we actually see that Annalise gets a call from Connor, and we saw from the last episode, one of the cold cases they found was Nate Leahy Sr., who was Nate's father. And he's played by the veteran actor Glenn Turman. So shout out to him. Phenomenal actor. Cooley High and A Different World. I mean, Glenn Turman definitely is a force. So that's who's playing Nate's father. And they pretty much found out that Nate's father has been in jail for 33 years. He's 71. And the only family is Nate Jr. So then we actually see that the Keating Four are talking. Michaela's helping Laurel dress for her, for her appearance in court. And pretty much they start talking about, your mom's bipolar disorder, do you think that's gonna, question her credibility stand and all of that? And so they start asking all these questions, and, they also bring up, Wes as Kristoff talking to Dominic, how do they know each other and all of that. And, Laurel's like, look, I don't need to be thinking about that right now. What I need to be thinking about is getting my baby back. So that's all I'm focused on. So then we actually see that Annalise, so now that Annalise knows about Nate's dad's case, she goes to Nate about it. So she was like, oh, so you actually slipped it in thinking I wouldn't find it, or you was hoping that I was going to find it? And he says, yeah, that's a possibility. And he actually talks about his father, and he says that my father has been in prison ever since I was a kid, for like, drugs and parole violations. And he said my mother cut me off from him when I was 15, when he beat an inmate to death. When he beat an inmate to death. So he has not seen or talked to his father ever since he was 15 years old. I'm sorry, not Olivia. My bad. Long show. Forgive me. But Annalise says that, look, I'll look into it. So then we actually meet Laurel's mom. They're about to go to court. And then we actually see that Laurel and her father have a moment where he's saying that, she starts asking about her baby, and he said that, he's doing very well and he can come home soon. And she's like, he needs to be home with me. And he said, that could happen if you give me what I want. And he says that, look, I don't have the damn hard drive if that's what you want. I don't have it. And, pretty much Olivia, why do I keep saying Olivia? I think it's because I just reviewed Scandal. Forgive me, y'all. So then Annalise is like pulling Laurel aside, like, look, stop talking to him, But then her father said, I didn't do it, And she's like, you didn't do what? And he said, Wes, I had nothing to do with that. But it's sad that you're using that, as your leverage to destroy our family. But I think somebody was involved, and I'm gonna get to that. So pretty much on the stand, the cross-examiner, is talking about, drug use and her being in St. Edith's lab and, her having hypermania. She pretty much talks about her baby being in the hands of a stranger, and that, her father has he's never been of great interest to the family, he's never had our best interest at heart. And she said that what really is upsetting her is that I never had a chance to bond with my child. I had this child at 7 months, and he was taken without my consent, nor with any real care about how I felt about it. So then we also get a cute scene between Laurel and her mom, and Frank was there, and her mom was like telling the Frank, who are you again? And like Michaela was kind of like chuckling in the back, like, yo, it's like she kind of keeping you secret, because he's pretty much Laurel's man now, but she's kind of keeping him in the background. And then, we actually see that Frank and Michaela have a talk, and she's saying that, well, are you going to have that whole conversation between Wes and Dominic, are we going to get that trace? And he said that Bonnie's working on it. And she said, oh, her and Annalise are cool now? And Frank was like, yeah, for now. We see Bonnie's looking for information, but she's not finding anything because it's like she realizes somebody's on her trail, because certain access and information she once had access to, she's not able to get. And she's, trying to examine Wes's, phone records the night that he died, because the night he died, he talked to Dominic. So she's trying to get to the bottom of as to why, as to what was that connection. And so pretty much Bonnie kind of knows that, yeah, she's being watched. And, she also notices that, certain information she can't get into her computer. So obviously Denver is watching her and probably watching everything she's doing. Oh, my bad. So pretty much when Laura was on the stand, she was being examined by Annalise. So she wasn't being cross-examined then. The first time she was being questioned by Annalise, and Annalise was, trying to establish her credibility as a mother and why the child should be with her. Then she gets cross-examined, and let me say, Laurel's father's, Mr. Castillo's lawyer, this dude is shrewd as hell. He's messy, and he's like a bully in the courtroom. So pretty much, he starts talking to her about her stay in a psych ward, her battling cocaine abuse, how many men you were sleeping with when you were pregnant. Didn't you get one of them to take a paternity test? Didn't you have questions about abortion? And we've seen all of this play out, but it just goes to show you how much of a messy-ass legal team her father has. And he is literally discrediting the fuck out of her. It's like he knows everything she's done, and it's like her father got that kind of access. So, and then, he's talking about Wes, and that, you had this demented man named Wes, whose mother committed suicide, and then he pretty much committed suicide himself, and all of that. So, we see all that go on, and, and the thing about it, Annalise pretty much stood up for her, and she said that, look, if you don't start badgering my witness, I'm taking her off the stand. So pretty much, and the judge agreed and said that, look, counsel, you need to stop this, or yeah, I will end this. So he backed off. Then we see, so pretty much we see that Connor and so pretty much they get a break for lunch. The mom was like, oh my God, I think this case is going to go so well. And Annalise was like, girl, please, you just got that feeling because the judge only gave you that feeling because it's time for lunch. So let's get something to eat or whatever. But then, he kind of reassures her that, look, Annalise knows what she's doing, to Laurel's mom. Then we get to see Connor and Asher come, and they give Annalise info, and they kind of going back and forth like, well, it was me who found it. And he's like, why are you saying you? Because I was the one who found the information, and now I'm... And she's like, look, ain't no trophy for this. Just give me the information and cut the bullshit. And they pretty much said that they had actually found out that Nate's father had 15 public defenders, and they all convinced him to plead guilty. So she shared this information, with Nate, and they pretty much decided to go up there to see him because he could be, the first case that can really, drive this class action suit. And we actually come to find out that he's pretty much been in solitary confinement for 2 years. And this is the first time Nate has seen his father since he was 15 years old. Pretty much, Lord forgive me. Pretty much, Annalise talks to Nate Sr., and she's saying that, look, I want to help stop the cycle, and I want to help you to get the care that you deserve, and I want you to get the right representation because I really feel you have been railroaded time and time again, and that's the reason why you spent all this time here. So she's saying that I'm starting this class action lawsuit, and I want you to be a part of it. All you have to do is sign. And then she says that yes, I definitely, also brought your son here, so pretty much she said that, I brought your son with me, and he wants to help you too. Then he was like, my son? And he was like, yeah, Dad, it's me. And he's like, you stopped being my son when you became a pig. So he knows about Nate being a police officer. And he's like, you stopped being my son when you became a pig. And then he asks Olivia, you know what a pig is? A pig is a bitch for the white man. And then he goes off. He's and it's clear that he's got some mental issues. So he flips out. It was like, "You fucking pig! You ain't shit, blah blah blah." And he's like, "I ain't signing nothing for you, lady. I ain't signing shit. He's a pig. He's disgusting, you little bitch." And he just flies off the handle. So I thought that was crazy. So pretty much we see that Michaela and Asher are in bed. You know, Asher's mind is mainly focusing on Nate's dad's case. Michaela's dealing with Laurel's case, and Michaela's trying to get freaky with Asher, but Asher is not really rising to the occasion because his mind is so wrapped up around this Nate case. So they just decided just to cuddle. Next, we get a scene with Connor and Oliver, and I was so happy with this scene because Connor got Oliver, aka Olive Oil, together. Because now Oliver again is doing the most. Because now he's saying that he wants to establish a fundraiser so that Simon's parents can come to America to see him. And he's saying that, "You really think that's a good idea? You know, I don't think you should do this." And he's like, and then Oliver's like, "Why are you always trying to control me?" Connor's like, "I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to awaken you. Because here it is, you were in the room when Sebastian shot himself under mysterious circumstances. Then you go to his hospital. You go to his hospital bed. Now you're talking about doing a fundraiser so that his parents can come into the U.S. He says that this is obviously, I mean, if you really look at this from a legal side, it shows that you're guilty, that you are partly responsible why he's there. And he's saying that, look, these are the actions of a guilty person. You obviously feel guilty about everything that happened, so now you're just going above and beyond when you need to be holding your hand. And he's saying that, look, I will have to tell you this, you know, you need to kind of really think about this because you going to jail will seriously break my heart. So keep that in mind. And I was like, Colin, you better tell his ass, because you saw the last episode, Olive Oil was doing the most. He pretty much hacking the hospital records to see how Simon's doing. Then he goes and lies and says that Simon's his boyfriend so he can go see him. It was just like, okay, Oliver, you're doing the most right now. You know, there's not really much you can do for Simon at this point, but it's obvious you feel guilty and you're letting this guilt drive you. So pretty much we also see Laurel and her mom. You know, her mother, she's showing her mother a picture of Wes. And then she starts asking about Frank, and she's like, I'm not talking about Frank. I'm not talking about my love life. But she said, I didn't tell you about me being pregnant because I was afraid of what Dad would do if he found out. And she pretty much lets Laurel know, like, look, sweetheart, you don't have to protect me from him anymore. And she's like, I'm doing good. I'm doing really good now. But Laurel is not all convinced. So then we actually see Bonnie and Frank meet up. You know, she pretty much says that, look, Denver's telling me, you know, he probably got my house bugged. And he's like, I'll go check for it. He's like, why? So, and she's like, what? So they can be after you too? Are you serious? And then pretty much he was saying that, what if it's possible that Laurel's father didn't have anything to do with the death of Wes? And he was like, look. And she's like, yeah. But besides the point, he's coming after me, and I'm pretty sure if he's coming after me, he's going to be coming after all of you too. And then Frank was like, I'm not going to let that happen. And Bonnie was like, you really think that you can stop these people from doing what they're doing? He said that, look, he was like, look, I'm going to keep us all safe, and he's going to have to go through me to get to you. So then we see the next day in court, Frank is giving Laurel's father that evil stare like, I'ma fuck you up. Because he knows damn well that Denver works with Laurel's father. You know, that they got this thing going. So all of a sudden, you know, Bonnie's being shut down at work, you know, as far as like doing her research. So he immediately can lock eyes with Laurel's father because he knows he's behind all of it. And then all of a sudden, you know, Laurel comes in and she tells, and she kind of yells at Frank because Laurel's mother has stepped out, and she says, I told you to talk to her. She's like, I'm sorry, but your mother gives me the creeps. We see that she's actually outside, and Annalise runs into her, and she's saying that, you know, is everything okay? And she's like, oh yes, I'm just trying to get some fresh air. And she says that, look, you don't have to go up to testify on Laurel's behalf. I actually have a Dr. Isaac, you know, I have Dr. Isaac Rower, who's actually going to testify on Laurel's behalf, you know. And she was saying that, do you really think you're going to be credible on the stand? And the mother immediately got in her feelings, was like, oh, she was trying to talk about my mental health issues. She's like, look, I'm not knocking you for having mental health issues. I'm just trying to protect lawyers. She's like, well, what do you think I'm doing? How dare you? And then all of a sudden, Laurel comes and grabs her mom, and they go in. And then all of a sudden, her mother's being sworn in, and then Laurel's like, she looks scared up there. What did you tell her? She says, I'm handling my business. Hold your mouth and sit the hell down. I was like, that's right, Annalise, get Laurel together, because Laurel thinks she knows everything, and Laurel be fucking up like crazy. So pretty much, Annalise starts questioning her mom, and she was saying, well, would you actually say that you're a good mother? And she's saying, well, you're a good mother to Laurel and all of that, and she's like, well, you know, part of the reason why me and Laurel aren't so close was because, you know, my husband was having all these countless affairs, which kind of drove her crazy to some degree. And she was saying that, you know, I had a lot of issues with my husband at the time. So she's saying that, so you're saying it's your husband's fault, it's the reason why you want a good mother? You know, and like, Annalise starts talking about, you know, it's also record that at 7 years old, you made Laurel get up out of bed at 3 a.m. to paint the pool house. I was like, damn, there's some loose screws in this damn family. I swear. But then she says, so, you know, can you define that as being a good mother? And Laurel's mom just says that, look, I was sick, you know, and Laurel was the one who helped me. She made sure I ate, she made sure I bathed, she made sure I had everything I needed. You know, and that's why I say she would make an excellent mother, because she was an excellent mom to me. So, and while she's on the stand, we see that Dr. Isaac shows up. And, you know, we see that Dr. Isaac and Annalise have a conversation, and he's talking about her psych evaluation, and that this is going to give credibility to her case, and this is going to, you know, actually get the baby released in her care, because after I did my evaluation of her, there should be no reason why she can't have a kid. And then Annalise is actually listening to this, and she's being very intrigued, because that gives her an idea. And next we see that she goes to Nate, and she says, like, your father needs a psychological evaluation, because look at the way he acted the last time. That is indication that there is some mental problems going on. But then Nate was like, you know, well, maybe that's just it. Maybe he is crazy, but that doesn't mean he's going to get out or whatever. And she says that, look, he's been in solitary confinement for 2 years. That's enough to make anybody crazy. And then, like, Nate is just very pessimistic. He's like, look, I made a mistake with putting my father's, case in your file. Some people just can't be helped. Some people are useless. It is what it is. But then she tells him, I want him to be the face of my case. Of people like him who have been railroaded by the legal system and weren't given good representation. And she's saying that, look, won't you go back up there and try to get him, to sign? She's like, she said pretty much try to get him to sign the paper. She's like, he's not going to do it. He already told you no. She says, well, you tried. Give us an assignment and do it for me. Because she wants to help him. So next we see that Nate goes to meet his father. And the father's like, oh, so this is going to be pig visits? This is what's going to be? Just pigs, just the pig dropping in? So obviously the father don't like cops and don't like the fact that Nate Jr. is a cop. And pretty much, they go back and forth and everything. And he's like, oh, what's about that girl, Annalise? Y'all boning? I was like, damn. Even the dad kind of noticed that there's something between the two of them. But then he says that, look, she's a good attorney, and you need to sign this document so she can represent you. Like, you're sick, Dad. Your brain is sick. And this place did this to you, and it made you worse over the years. So please fill out this form and do it for me. So when it came down to Laurel's mom being on the stand, there was no cross-examination. The only person that questioned her on the stand was Annalise, but when it was time for her to be cross-examined by Mr. Castillo's attorney, they said they don't have any questions, so she was able to step down. Which kind of right there told me something ain't right with this situation. They were quick to interrogate and go after everybody else. Why didn't they cross-examine Laurel's mom? So next, they pretty much asked Annalise to call her next witness, and she calls Dr. Isaac to the stand. And pretty much she says that, look, she showed no signs of withdrawal from drugs. She's not unstable. And, she pretty much, her psychological evaluation, she is fine and she's mentally capable to care for a child. Then they cross-examine Isaac, and let me say they dug in their ass to shame him. And it was so bad. Because they started talking about, him being an addiction specialist. Weren't you a drug addict yourself? And then he said that, yeah, I was a heroin addict, but this actually motivates me to help other people so they won't go down the same road I did. And if I can save a life, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So, and he's like, oh, like you helped your daughter? And he said that what happened to her? How did she die? And he says that, she took an overdose of oxycodone. So he's like, oh, pills like heroin, just like the drug that you was on because you used to be a heroin addict. So then he starts talking about, oh, but yeah, you're saying it's suicide, but how do we know it's not murder? Because as far as we know, they're reopening the case. And they're going to even question even more so whether, and also it said that you actually waited 15 minutes after she died to call the police. So what was it? You were trying to stage it? Or the fact that you were actually molesting your daughter and you were afraid that she was going to tell? How do we know you didn't kill her? And the fact that they did that to him, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers are evil. And they literally dug within him to really discredit him on the stand, because he didn't even know that they were still investigating, because he said that, look, that was an investigation, but they put that to bed. And it's like, oh no, the case is being reopened. So your credibility is being questioned because you got all that going on. And Isaac was so embarrassed. And was definitely thrown for a loop because he didn't see it coming. Neither did Annalise. Because Annalise pretty much tells Bonnie, you know, oh my God, I'm the devil. What the hell did I do? And she says that, and Bonnie's like, look, you cannot make it about yourself right now. But then she tells him that, yeah, it's true. Denver is reopening the case, and Annalise is like, they're framing him. But then she said that, yeah, but the evidence looks real. So Denver was behind this shit. As you can see, you know, Laurel's father got all of these connections throughout every, you know, aspect within the legal system, business, law. He got connections everywhere. So that case being reopened, that was Denver being put in place to stop Laurel from getting custody of that baby. So then we see that Annalise and Bonnie's in the car. Nate knocks on the door and says, okay, they made a decision. They decided that Dr. Ross's testimony is thrown out due to him having a case, so it can't be used to help Laurel. So the custody for Laurel is denied, and the grandfather will maintain custody. So then we see Laurel and her mom having a moment. You know, Laurel's very depressed and very sad, and she's like, this is just so wrong, and she's like, and then pretty much, you know, I wonder, did Dad really hurt Wes? And she's kind of questioning things, and the mother's like, you know, your father didn't hurt Wes at all, you know, and yes, baby Wes is going to come home. He may not be here now, but he will be coming home. And she see that she's like laying there, you know, patting Laurel on the head, but she has this very disturbed look on her face. And I'm going to get to why that is. So then we see a scene. Nate finally shows up at Annalise's place and shows that he got the father to sign the form. So he's going to be the first, you know, class action case, which is going to lead to the rest of the ones she's going to be working on. So he's happy that his dad's finally signed the deal, and he wants to take her out. And then the next thing you know, they start making out and everything, but she stops him and says that, no, we can't do this. Which goes to show you that Annalise has grown. Because normally, she'd be quick to give up the box to Nate. But this time she says that, no, I don't want to cross this line with you. So, of course, it upsets Nate, because Nate, as I've said before, Nate still got feelings for her. You know, he may be mad as fuck at her, but the reason why he's so mad is because he's in love with her. And then we actually see a scene with Nate's father literally tearing up his cell. And then the next thing you know, we see the thing that calms him down is seeing a picture of him with his son when he was a little boy. So he kind of calms down with, you know, when he sees that picture. So we actually see that, yeah, he loves his son, but it's obvious he's mentally disturbed. So then we see that the guys, you know, the Keating, you know, it's Asher, Connor, and Oliver. They're all happy because they now got their first class action lawsuit, and they're excited. Michaela comes in, and they're turning up, and she's distraught. And, you know, they're all excited, but then he says that, you know, Laurel lost the case. Her father still has custody. So she just pretty much brought their morale down, because they were excited that Nate's dad signed, so they now have a class action case that can, you know, her class action case now has a starting point. But yeah, Michaela just kind of just busted up the party and told them that, yeah, Laura lost her case, and her father still has custody of the baby. So then we see Annalise goes to Dr. Isaac, and she's like, look, I'm sorry, you know, I need to talk to you. And she looks around because she sees that she knocks on the door, he doesn't respond. So she goes to look around the windows to see if she sees him. We actually get to see Dr. Isaac then relapsed and went back on heroin. Him being interrogated and him being bullied on that stand that made him relapse. And I'm like, Those evil motherfuckers. That was so messed up. Because Dr. Isaac was good, was a good psychiatrist, and by them bringing up that trigger, they knew that his trigger was his daughter, and that he still has been grieving the loss of his daughter, and that his daughter had mental issues as well. So for them to throw that back up at him, and in fact that they're going to be investigating him thinking that he was the one who killed her, it literally set him up, and he got that he actually did heroin. And I was like, damn, this is fucked up. But then at the end, we get the scene with Bonnie and Frank. Pretty much, Bonnie did some intel, and she lets him know that Wes only called Dominique once. And I actually have a map of that he actually met with someone, the day before he died. And check this. He met Laurel's mom. So the question is Laurel's mom behind the reason why Wes is dead? Because that's why I'm thinking that, yeah, the mother may have been behind it, because we see the two of them meeting, they're sitting down at a table, and it was like literally a day before he died. And Laurel has no idea that he even met her mother. So the mother definitely is playing the game, but I think in time we're going to find out the truth about her ass. So that's what I have. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them listed in the description box. Also like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of How to Get Away with Murder. So until next time, everybody, take care.